2022 Cape Wine brought the world to the mother city in celebration of South African wine 3 years later, and the wine world is back because Cape Wine has returned. It is bigger and better than ever. 3 days of showing everybody just why South African wine rocks the world. It's the reasons I'm drinking this. I love Backsburg. I got married there. I love Cabernet Franc, and the combination under Alicia is magical. Cheers. Steenberg's great name in Cup Classique took another step forward, if that was possible, last week. The Cup Classique Challenge with Amarim, you were the big champion. That's
Yes.
a pretty cool accolade.
That is pretty cool, absolutely, yes. They awarded the best in category for group blends and then overall winner as well with Steenberg Lady Art 2019.
Now, it's great for the wine itself, but I think it also says a lot about you and about Steenberg, given the quality of Cup Classique in South Africa is so high. You beat off some pretty impressive competition.
Definitely, definitely. Every year we try, and this year we were successful, so we're going to own it, absolutely.
All right, has Cup Classique ever been better in South Africa?
I doubt it. It gets better every year. I think the category grows. I think the awareness of what we represent, as you mentioned, in terms of quality is growing locally, but also happily internationally. And so the sky's the limit. It just keeps on growing double digits every year. So we're happy.
Well, you're a big part of that. Cheers.
Cheers.
I think it's an amazing opportunity for us to put our best foot forward. We don't get enough foreign visitors to our wineries, and people are showing their best wines. I think it's also a good time for us to be proud about what's good about our industry.
Dan, always nice to see you. Lucky to have you here at Reineke. As you can see, the new range, brand new. Sauvignon Blanc, Chenin Blanc, first time ever Cabernet Franc, Syrah and Cabernet Sauvignon. Okay, so what we've done is we brought focus to all things Reineke, and we've managed to drop our carbon footprint by 22% as a business with this packaging.
Well, my name's Henk, I'm from Paul Rene. We are a specialist bubbly Cup Classique producer from the Robertson region. It's a family business. Our first vintage was in 2009. We only use champagne varietals, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. All our wines are a vintage, and most of our wines are aged on lease for no less than 44 months.
Oh man, I'm really, it's wonderful to be at Cape Wine again. My third year, and this one seems to be even bigger and better. Amazing wine producers, and I think, man, on a SA quality level, it can't get better than this. For myself, I'm really impressed with how the wines have evolved and how the wines are being received, very well appreciated. Finding new customers, and other people have been recommending as well, coming through to the tasting.
Yeah, so the special wines from our area, from Wildekrans in particular, is, I think our focus is very much on Chenin, Sauvignon, Pinotage and Shiraz, and also the blends of that. And again, the terroir and the soil and the climate really leads itself to creating wines with finesse.
the home of brands, as we call it within Van Loefferen. We've really been in an interesting investment phase the last 2-3 years. Van Loefferen is the home of our business, the Retief family. The Four Cousins is very well known as a brand. And we decided to go in a bit of a premium strategy. And our investment now has led us to Neil Ellis in Stellenbosch. We now acquired Landskroon in Paarl. And we also acquired Survivor out of the investment in Overex in Worcester. So one thing led to the next, and suddenly we're sitting with this regional portfolio.
Somebody who was either Johan Reinecker or the guy from The Mentalist. I've just bumped into Pedro Pascal, who's of course Miles Mossop, but a very serious looking Miles Mossop. Now 3 years ago, I thought you sold yourselves a little short as the Zoo Crew, because it was far too over the top, and I don't think it spoke to the really serious winemakers you are. You've rectified that this year.
Yeah, you could perhaps call it, maybe it was a bit childish.
Yeah,
you know? I don't know.
felt that.
Childlike, immature. Yeah, I
Very
agree.
Duncan Savage-ish, I think.
Yeah, well, he was the main instigator, normally
Wow.
is. But we decided we're going corporate this year. Obviously, corporate in a zoo style. So, so we've even see my labels have got more serious, everything got more serious. I cut my hair.
So driving that business ethos of wine, which has always been the core of what you do.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean, we all focus so much on our vineyards that we work with, the environment we work in, the wine styles we're trying to make. I think every single one of these producers here have the same philosophy, same ethos, and really it's about making serious wines that really reflect South Africa and our terroir.
Hey, Vani, I know there were a lot of winemakers who applied to the Zoo Corporation who got turned down. Tell me in particular about turning down the request from Evan Sadi and Adi Badenhorst.
Well, Adi just doesn't take it seriously enough. I think he cannot be corporate enough for us, but we're not sure. We cannot handle the hordes here if Evan's here. I mean, already we attract so much, and I think we just wouldn't be able to beat them off. We'd need serious bouncers.
All right. Well, we've got some great Miles Mossop wine to celebrate with. It is the Zoo Corporation. We didn't think they could beat what they did 3 years ago with the Zoo Crew. Well, I think they've nailed it. This is the new Zoo Corporation, following on from the Zoo Crew. I'm guessing, Duncan Savage, you haven't been allowed anywhere near a primary school in the last few days.
Not without a packet of sweets, Dan, but a lot of corporate governance going on here this year, so we're back in the zone.
3 years on, aside from the extraordinary outfits, and you've outdone yourselves in 2025, how much further down the road has South African wine gone? Are we in a good place from where we were? Have we progressed as much as we should have?
Dan, just look at this room. I mean, it's amazing. It's like, we actually, a couple of months ago, thought, are people coming? The world's like taking a bit of strain in the wine front, but the interest in South Africa is real. I mean, this place is pumping. I mean, we opened the doors this morning. I literally didn't stop for 3 hours straight. We just had people the whole time. And it's fantastic, People are not just keen on the brands at what's happening with Zoo Corp, but just genuinely keen on South African wine. And it's super cool. I mean, we're also getting a great response to the Savage wines. It also helps that we look like a bunch of assholes because everyone comes and we like the official meeting point, just meet at the Dodgy Oaks,
Oh dear, well it's the kind of investment that we expect from you lot, because it's a wonderful dimension you bring. Wine's amazing, outfit's amazing. Zoo Corp for the win in 2025.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for always being a part of this and joining the Gees and bringing the Gees.
Why Cape Wine is so special for me? I guess it's just to have the conglomerate of producers together under one roof and to have the opportunity to showcase our wines to the rest of the world and to our local trade. I think we're in such a dynamic market right now, a global dynamic powerhouse right now, and I think it's just the world needs to see it and experience it.
Yeah, so this is obviously something very exciting. Today is the first day that we've actually launched the Goldmine White. It's something that's been many years. We've been thinking of putting this white blend together, and basically the representative wine of all our investments within the winelands. Old wine Chenin that comes from our property in the Swartland, so the Goldmine property. A little bit of Uni from our partnership property, and then old wine Semillon from Franschhoek, which has been always kind of our flagship white since 1997. And then some Chardonnay from our investment and our exciting project in the Human Arder Valley, where it's Chardonnay, and it just brings together wine that is just absolutely so rich and has got wonderful texture, and just a classic Buchanan's Kloof style white wine. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've experienced quite a lot of wines lately, but if you head over to the theme testing, there's some really cool wines going on there. Bushendal has got a 2012 MCC, absolutely stunning. I couldn't stop drinking that wine. And I'm especially excited. I was talking to Marina yesterday from Worcester, and she mentioned there's a lot of African countries that are here. And I feel Africa is the next big market for wines.
So Cape Wine is an opportunity to tell my story and to get people to engage with it. Immensely important. I have to be here. You know, if I expect people to want to import my wines to another country or to sell it locally, then I need to be part of this, because this is what South Africa is about. It's about diversity, and it's about showcasing our stories, telling our stories. I think we have something really unique here, something very special, because we are able to not only offer incredible value, we also have incredible quality. And, you know, we have a camaraderie that is quite apparent in the room and with some of the groupings that is really what our country is all about.
Zoetenaar is doing brilliant. So it's now 2.5 years that I've been at the farm since 2023. And we've grown a lot, both locally and internationally. And that's great to see. The fact that we're the most southern tip of Africa and South Africa, that yet our wines are speaking a lot louder. Today is the official day one, but it already started on Sunday. And it's just really nice because the team are almost welcome, have been extended over the weekend with the hospitality that South Africans extend. And it's great to have kind of met with people in a different setting and now in a bit more of a business formal setting, and to build on those relationships that we've gathered over the last couple of days.
So 2 weeks ago, I got on the phone to Megan Manamova, winemaker, viticulturalist, managing director, CEO, head of marketing and run security at Bo Constantia, and said, can we do an interview and catch up at Cape Wine? Of course, Dan, she said, I'd love to. Then on Monday, Tim Atkin names her Rising Star of the Year. I try and phone her on the Tuesday to congratulate her. The phone gets diverted to a number in New York, and I'm on the phone to an agent, and it's taken us over a week and a large sum of US dollars to get this interview with the Tim Atkin Rising Star. You celebrity, you.
There are people in this world that I make wine for, and then there are people in this world that make me drink my wine, and Dan is pretty much that guy.
What does it mean, though, when you get that sort of recognition from your peers, when you get people in the industry saying, hey, we see you and we know you're doing something special?
I mean, I think coming from the big man himself, it meant a lot. I'm obviously a huge fangirl of Tim's. I really look up to the man and everything he does for our industry as a whole, also sharing in that sentiment around social importance of our industry. I think working for such a small brand often makes you question how large your impact really is, how much it all really means, what you do from day to day. So I think this recognition for us has just been massive, coming from him, and also obviously coming from you.
Well, cheers to you.
Cheers,
I will
buddy.
say that it's an excellent example of Tim Atkin's good taste.
It's been amazing to have all our potential clients, friends, and everybody in the industry all together for a few days just to mingle, and allows us as exporters perhaps, or producers, not to have to go abroad for our customers. A lot of the customers come in here and come and try our wine. So really, really exciting for us as a farm within the old Constantia Valley to be able to put on a show like this.
Neil, it's been a little while since we caught up properly. You are now at Purderberg, which is the home of Neil Groenewald, and home of Chenin Blanc, which is a big call to make in a country where Chenin Blanc is such a definitive grape. So what makes Purderberg the home of Chenin?
All right, so I think Chenin has always been in our DNA if you just look at the grape source that we've got at Purderberg. So we've got a very large component of Swartland and Achterpaal and Paul Chenin. We've got a lot of dry farmed Chenin and bushvine. And as we know, that really makes the best qualities of Chenin. So we've made a call to give different expressions of Chenin. We've got 9 different wines.
I don't think even Ken Forrester's got 9 different Chenins.
That's why he's not the home of Chenin.
You tell him that, not me.
I do normally. So we've got 9 different expressions, and Chenin being so versatile, you can do from bubbly to sweet. So, and everything in between. We've got the amazing old vine, so we've got old vine expression Chenins. We've got dry farmed, we've got sparkling, we've got fortified. So yeah, there's an amazing array of Chenin, and we try and create that experience for people to understand Chenin. Also rebranded our restaurant to Steen, the traditional name of Chenin. So
Minister of Agriculture will be happy.
He is definitely happy. You will be invited to the launch, and yourself as well.
So the real joy of Cape Wine is discovering stuff you have not before. Now, a lot of the winemakers I know pretty well. Here's a label I don't. This is Skankfontein. Now, if you listen to Ken Forrester, every wine on the planet, from Pinot Noir to Cabernet Franc, should be made from Chenin Blanc. Well, this is made from Chenin Blanc. It's a 100% Chenin bubbles. It's out of the Swartland, where Chenin has such a wonderfully natural home, and it is that great balance of fruit and acidity and life and joy that Swartland Chenin has, with the added effervescence of some bubbles. What makes it extra special, there's a personal note. It's named after Trader. She is the grandmother, and well, if the grandfather of Chenin Blanc in South Africa is Ken Forrester, I think he'd be very happy to try 100% bubbles from Chenin named after a grandmother. Behind me is one of the extra cool parts of Cape Wine. It is the Johnson Workwear tasting area. It could be a little bit dangerous because it is unmonitored wine drinking. You have to go in and there are all sorts of different challenges. For instance, here is Pinotage, but here are the parents, the component parts, the Pinot Noir and the Cinsault. How do they come together? It's your chance to go in and to explore and to learn more in your own time and on your own terms, and drink some pretty good wine. So this is a fascinating introduction to the grape that celebrates 100 years this year. It is the coming together of Cinsault, which I have in my glass. Light, red fruited, delicate, easy to drink, very gentle. And Pinot Noir, the Cinsault coming from City on a Hill out in the Swartland, and the Pinot Noir, the Copper Pot, and this comes from out in the Bot Riviera, at least the winemaking out in the Bot Riviera, the wild ferment Pinot from Thorn and Daughters. Now, again, it's a both lovely and not dissimilar style of wine. It's gentle, it's not big and aggressive, it's a really easy style of wine. It doesn't mean that there's not a complexity to it or a structure to it, but it's not a big booming wine. So how did these two grapes give birth to Pinotage, which certainly in its formative years was this big bruiser of a nightclub bouncer? Well, Pinotage has changed a lot, and now the style it's mostly made in is echoing its parents so much more clearly. And what this part of the Johnson Workwear tasting room allows you to do is see the 2 points of departure, the Cinsault and the Pinot Noir, and start to get a feeling of how they came together to give us the South African wonder that is Pinotage.
So amazing to have everyone in the trade from around the world and locally here in the Cape tasting our wines. When I first arrived in South Africa in 2004, I instantly fell in love with the land, the mountains, the trees, the vineyards, the people, the wines, of course. And when you come to South Africa and taste the amazing wines on this soil here with the views that we have, you can't help but fall in love with the country and want to come back again and again. And that's why it's so special. It's not just us traveling around the world, visiting other markets, it's them coming to South Africa, tasting the amazing wines on our soil. The Swartland community is the best winemaking community in the world. a rising tide lifts all boats. We're here to uplift each other, to help educate each other. If I have a question about something, I can call, Eben or Audie, and people call me, and we just share ideas, we share wines, we'll pour for each other. There's lots of love in the Swartland.
Well, it's a huge amount of enthusiastic people, a lot of African guests, which we really like to engage with. A few different countries like Kenya, Botswana, Zimbabwe even, so that's very positive. I think Africa is really, especially with a lot of international guests coming here, lodging groups especially, be it Singita or direct in those countries, that's very positive. No, that's why we have to come here and in a way dress up a little bit just to scow for a few days. But no, we can't complain. Thanks to my neighbor Barnos, he keeps us busy with some guests that spills over from visits there. But it's lucky to have these people coming out to us and to reach out to. Yeah, I mean, probably all of them, and it's lucky to have a new neighbor. Welcome to Eben Meyer, the new chief in charge at Porseleinberg. I mean, he's inheriting a great 15 vintages from Kalilo, so that's a big privilege to share table space with him, and obviously Andre Bruins. Yeah, so it's amazing pitch and outcome from the Swartland producers to be here, and also, I mean, thanks to John Deere that parked a brand new tractor over here. They all think it's our tractors, but we can't afford this new stuff. So I wouldn't mind though. But we're very positive about the show and the amount of producers that came out.
So today we have the Wolka 21 that we're tasting. It is a blend of 60% Cabernet and 40% Shiraz. As you are aware, it's grown on our Stellenbosch property, where we situated about 4.5 kilometers from the sea. So what makes this wine unique from a viticultural perspective is that our soils, we have that unique ferrocrete character, that adds that minerality to the wine, and really expresses itself when you taste it.
Cape Wine is awash with icons of the industry. Here's top-tier iconic status, Gary Jordan. You're surrounded by just this wonder of South African wine. Does it still give you this kick being part of this extraordinary industry?
Absolutely, Dan. It's a real buzz being here in the room. But a genuine one as well. We've got people from all over the world, from Rwanda to Canada to everywhere you can imagine.
You mentioned also, when we were chatting earlier, places like Tanzania, places like Angola. How much is the African market starting to come into focus for South African wine estates that have often looked to America, Europe and the Far East rather than closer to home?
I think, we took a good look at this and spent a lot of time in the East African market and elsewhere in Africa. And I think that's one of the real growth areas that we're looking at Jordan Estate. And certainly now with our Painted Wolf Association, that's going to take us, I think, into a completely new realm.
I've been talking a lot about celebrating your Asir Tegoa. Took a whole pile to Greece a little while ago. You've also just planted Zino Mavro, so I think I should be calling you Kyriakou instead of Gary, but this love of Greece continues.
Yes, very much so. And, we continue planting these new varieties as mother blocks for the industry. When you look at climate change, it's something that's quite natural that will work so well in Stellenbosch.
Cheers to that.
Cheers.
Dan, I think if you hear the crowd roaring, it's it's a privilege to be here, having all peoples of different walks of life being here at Cape Wine. It's such an experience. As a young winemaker, we're constantly learning, and we're also learning from people outside of South Africa. But it's so proud standing behind my wines and seeing the other people's wines in South Africa. I think South Africa can be really, truly blessed with the winemakers they have and the wines that we are making here in the Western Cape and in South Africa.
So here's a wonderful illustration of the connecting power of wine. Josephine Couillard is a great figure with her husband Martin in the wine world in Burgundy. I've never met her, but I've spoken to her many times because Paul Kluver. She is a regular supporter and engager with Dan Really Likes Wine.
Brilliant.
And you know the family so well because they're a big part of the Paul Kluver operation.
Firstly, Josephine has been supplying barrels into South Africa for more than 20 years. Been absolutely amazing. And I got to know the whole family probably now about also 20 years ago, and I'm the godfather of their child. Oh no, so it's awesome.
I'm going to pretend that's a really good thing for the poor child. This friendship, this unity has led to not just the connection of families, the connection of the wine, but also something I am drinking for the very first time. I think we have a bottle here. Introduce me to this.
Yeah, I mean, this is the Kluver Prieur Chardonnay, and what I wanted was, we've been talking about it for so long, I wanted Martin to consult for us on Chardonnay and Pinot Noir. And he always said maybe later, and eventually I said to him, how about we plant a vineyard together and we'll make a wine, and the proceeds of this we'll give to two of my godchildren, which is Martin's son and our winemaker's daughter. And that's how the whole thing came about. And in 2019, we released this wine for the very, very first time. So it's been absolutely amazing.
Magic. All South African?
All South African fruit.
But a bit of French expertise.
But with a bit of French expertise, yeah. And finesse, which I think is absolutely amazing.
That's lovely. Well, it's great that after everything we do to them on the rugby field, they're allowed to come back and help us out in the wine fields.
This is true. Cheers.
Yeah, I think it's a great show to showcase South Africa. Nothing like coming to our place in the world and sharing that with the international crowd. Great also for the local trade to come in. So it's a bit of both this year. And it's been really successful so far. I mean, we're halfway through, I guess, or 2/3 through, but it's been a good show so far. So wines-wise, we have a beautiful new Armilla, so 2018 vintage, just being poured for the first time at the show. So 7 years on the lees, Blanc de Blanc, obviously all organic and biodynamic, really a cracker wine. And then our Anima has been really well received as well, which is a Chenin Blanc, 100% Chenin, a bit of orange wine, clay pots, obviously all natural ferments, barrel aged as well. Just really showing well.
So Jen, I know Springfield really well. Many South Africans do. Life from Stone, I think, legally has to be on any wine list in Johannesburg. I know it from visiting mainly through the Absa Cape Epic and discovering the wines, know them well. This is always one that's fascinated me because it's such a rare grape in South Africa. How does Albarino come to be part of the Springfield offering?
Well, at Springfield, we tasted Albarino for the first time in Uruguay, of all places. As a family business, we often go on holiday together just to remind each other why we like each other and why we want to do business together. So my dad and my aunt went on holiday to Uruguay and they were waiting for their guest house room to be readied. I can go on quite an aside here as to why they were waiting. We have two very different styles of traveling. My aunt and I like to be really prepared. We book our things ahead of time, the itineraries printed out. And my father sort of flies by the seat of his pants. So he will drive around at about 5 o'clock in the afternoon and be like, we should probably find somewhere to stay. So I think he won the coin toss that morning. And they were waiting for their guest house room to be readied. And the lady at the guest house said, well, why don't you just go down the road to the coffee shop and have a cup of coffee while we ready your room? It's obviously way too late to have coffee at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's never will sleep again if you have coffee. So they asked for some cold white wine, and the white wine that got poured into the glass, the heavens parted, the sun streamed down.
And it was Albarino?
It was Albarino. So that's where the pursuit for Albarino started.
Of course, falling in love with the grape is one thing, bringing it back and making it happen is another. Why does Robertson work with Albarino?
Well, Robertson is quite a unique area in that we have a very big diurnal temperature range. So we have about 30-degree difference between daytime and nighttime temperatures. I know a lot of wine books will say that, Robertson's a warm region, really well known for bulk wine or large volumes, but there are some hidden gems there, and that big temperature difference makes all the difference when it comes to the wine. We have a very low disease pressure, we have very low rainfall, so we have to irrigate. So we're able to pinpoint our irrigation and our water application in a way that just really works with the grape.
It does work terrifically. There's so little Albarino in South Africa. You've got the Newton Johnsons, you've got Ginny at Botanica, and I think you've got Joostenberg, and then you've got an accidental discovery on a holiday in Uruguay that's given Robertson one of its signature wines. Cheers, Jana.
Cheers. Thank you.